ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਏਸ਼ੀਆ ਤੇ। ਅਸੀਂ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਵਾਰਡਸ ਦੇ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਅਸੀਂ ਡਿਬੇਟਸ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ, ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਆਨਸਰ ਕੀਤੇ, ਨੋ ਯੋਰ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਕੀਤੇ। ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਜ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ 'ਚ ਮੌਜੂਦ ਹੈ ਕੈਲੇਡਨ ਦੇ 2 ਮੇਅਰ ਦੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ, ਔਰ ਕੈਲੇਡਨ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ 2 ਹੀ ਮੇਅਰ ਦੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਹੈ। ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ 'ਚ ਮੌਜੂਦ ਹੈ, ਮੇਰੇ ਲੈਫਟ ਤੇ ਇਜ਼ ਐਨਿਟ ਗਰੂਵਸ who is a sitting regional councillor and running for a mayor post. On my right is Jennifer Innes, who is a regional councillor from Ward 3 and 4 and fighting for the mayor post. और मेरा साथ दे रहे हैं मनन गुप्ता एज ए मॉडरेटर। सारे का स्वागत करते हैं तो सवाल जवाब करते हैं। मनन, ओवर टू यू।
थैंक यू वेरी मच। अक्टूबर 24 ਨੂੰ ontario ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਿਊਨਿਸਪਲ ਚੋਣਾਂ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ 444 ਮਿਊਨਿਸਪੈਲਿਟੀਜ਼ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕੈਲੇਡਨ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਚੋਣਾਂ ਹੋਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਸਾਡੇ ਦੌਰਾਨ 2 mayoral candidates ਨੇ, so we'll give this opportunity to both of you to introduce yourselves. So I request first Jennifer Innes, the sitting regional councillor from wards 3 and 4, to please introduce and let our audience know a little bit more about you.
Thank you. So my name is Jennifer Innes. I'm currently serving for the past 8 years as a regional councillor for wards 3 and 4 in the town of Caledon, as well as chair of the Toronto and Region Conservation Authority for the past 4 years. I chose to run because my family has been in Caledon since 1899, and during my lifetime, Caledon has seen immense change and growth, and I wanted to make sure the Caledon that we know and love is here for generations to come. And what better way to do it than to have a voice at the table planning the future of our community. I'm vying for the position of mayor. As we all know, our current mayor is retiring, and we need somebody over the next 4 years who has a strong vision to make sure that we protect our rural countryside but build sustainable and connected communities. I have that experience with my role on the Conservation Authority, as well as my abilities to have strong working relationships and partnerships with neighboring municipalities, as well as the province of Ontario, bringing wonderful things to our community, like a future GO train in the town of Caledon that will be in partnership with the city of Vaughan on the Caledon-Vaughan GO rail line, and working to build things like community hubs in our community so that people have the services that they need close to them. Also, making sure that we protect our communities and keeping it safe by implementing traffic calming measures, ensuring that we keep our trucks off of the local roads and onto our trailer roads.
Thank you very much, Jennifer, for that wonderful introduction. Over to another candidate, Annette Groves, the sitting regional councillor from Ward 5. Annette.
Thank you very much, and my name is Annette Groves, and I am running for mayor for the town of Caledon, and it has been my absolute pleasure and honor to serve my community since 2000, both as a local and regional councillor. My leadership will inspire a shared vision, challenge the process, enable action, and model the way forward. As your mayor, I will bring both my experience at the political arena and private sector to the council table. I have served as chair of Public Works, Health Services, Emergency Management, and Housing and Homelessness Committee at the region of Peel. As your mayor, I will ensure that you're always heard, listened to, supported, and treated fairly. My plan focuses on improving communication and service deliveries across the municipality. I will change the course at the town of Caledon from saying no to how can we help you. Caledon has the potential to be the crown jewel of the GTA. We just need to change the direction to get us to our goal. I want to make it very clear that I am here to serve the people, and this is why I am running. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Annette, and thank you, Jennifer. Over to you.
Annette, first question come to you. You served as a regional councillor from Ward 5. What are your major achievements when you were as a regional councillor? And you think you missed some of them which were not completed, and you want to complete that as a mayor when you become that? So what were your achievements, and why you think that this mayor post is something which you can deliver to the residents?
Thank you for the question, and certainly I have achieved several things over the years, which I am so proud of during my tenure as a local councillor and a regional councillor. One of the things that I am most proud of is a recent land donation for an urgent care centre in Caledon. Happy to say that the region of Peel has accepted a very generous offer from one of our families in Caledon, and that is something that I am very proud of. The other things that I have done, I've looked into partnerships. I have partnered with our community partners to bring facilities to our seniors, to our youth, and to our special needs community. I will continue to do that work, and all the things I have done in my community in Bolton will certainly carry forward as mayor. What would I like to continue? I would like to continue my advocacy to get funding to build a much-needed urgent care center and a seniors wellness village within Caledon, because as you know, Caledon has grown significantly over the last 10 years, and we need to have healthcare services and programs for seniors.
Thank you. And same question goes to you, Jennifer.
Thank you. So over the past 8 years, I'm proud of the accomplishments we've been able to achieve, not only at the town of Caledon, but also in my role at the TRCA. So with the TRCA during the pandemic, we were able to partner with our provincial counterparts to build the Katwarpur Park at the Dixie Road, Gurdwara, which is the first location outside of India that allows for burial rights. And so we're very proud of that accomplishment and partnership. But inside my community that I represent, it's wonderful to see the community hub in Caledon East coming to fruition, which houses a brand new swimming pool, a public library, a walking track, a fitness facility, as well as many programs for our seniors and our youth and our young families. I'm proud to have worked on things like trail improvements and trail connectivity throughout the community, safe crossings of our roads like in the village of Palgrave, and the revitalization and upgrades of the streetscaping and the roads in Palgrave, and having sidewalks so that our children can walk to school. And I'm looking forward to the work in Caledon East that is about to take place starting next year with the entire rebuild of the main street through the village core, which will really work to inspire revitalization. And lastly, I'm happy to work in projects outside of my community, like the revitalization of the downtown Bolton, and support all-day parking on the downtown so that's a safeable, walkable community, and promote the local businesses and work with them so that they can open and be successful coming out of a pandemic, and include things like patio provisions so that our community has a place to gather and celebrate with one another.
Thank you very much. Both of you mentioned buzzwords like partnership and advocacy. I want to know, does the province of Ontario has eyes and ears? Do they listen to Caledon's needs? What has been your experience? You have been in power for since 8 years. You have been serving since 2000. Mm-hmm. What is the current situation, especially since we have the local MPP, the Deputy Premier of Ontario? Absolutely. So the region of Peel turned all blue in the last provincial election, which is helpful to the region of Peel's advocacy. And as the chair of government relations for the region of Peel, we've had a great working relationship with our provincial partners, and we've been able to accomplish a lot. But I think that having the Minister of Health is really an opportunity as our community grows to ensure that we have the health care that our community needs and the community needs throughout Peel as we grow. Thank you.
And certainly it's been a great relationship, not just with our provincial partners, because we need our federal partners as well. So as independent councillors, we need to work with both our federal partners as well as our provincial partners. And I'm proud to say, as a chair of housing and the Housing and Homelessness Committee, we were able to get funding from the federal government, over $300 million, to provide affordable housing for our residents. And we are waiting for the check from the province of Ontario. So I certainly hope that the Premier is listening, and we are waiting for our $319 million check from the Premier. And now that we have our Deputy Premier here, I certainly hope that she will also help us with that advocacy.
So Jennifer, do you agree that not only province, but we need a federal funding also?
Oh, absolutely. We've had great working relationships with our federal partners, and not just in housing, but on a lot of DMAF funding, so funding for disaster mitigation relief. We've had great partnerships with MPs, particularly from Brampton, who have been very supportive in helping us do projects. And you may think, how does a project in Brampton help Caledon? But it is the region of Peel. We're all interconnected, not just through families and socially, but environmentally we're connected as well. So protecting those watersheds and doing revitalization projects like the downtown Brampton project that the federal government gave us substantial funding for will help all of our region, ensuring that we protect our environment for generations to come.
Enid, do you have any plan to make Caledon as a modernized Caledon? Because right now we have seen the green belt is there, but something is missing in Caledon. We have seen in comparison to Vaughan, Brampton or Mississauga.
Caledon is unique. And we don't want to be Brampton or Mississauga, I'm sorry to say that. We want to be Caledon. We want to remain as Caledon. We want to protect what we know and love about Caledon and its uniqueness. It is a very unique community. I think that we have the best of both worlds in Caledon. We've got urban and we've got our rural and our countryside. I want to protect that. And as we grow, we need to grow and maintain and respect what Caledon is really about.
So Jennifer, what do you see the future of Caledon? A modern Caledon or a mixed bag of rural come modern amenities?
Well, we can't stop progress, but we do need to protect our rural identity and our Caledon character, the way people know each other, they know their neighbors, they're connected to green space. But more importantly, we also need to modernize the way that we do things and how we deliver services at the town of Caledon. We're no longer the little country cousin to Brampton and Mississauga, and we need to be more efficient and use better use of our taxpayers' money. And that means modernizing services like using artificial intelligence and new technologies.
I was going through some of the Caledon, like town of Caledon's provincial priorities, because we just had a provincial election in June. Mm-hmm. You have been asking for local planning tools. Can somebody explain what are those local planning tools and how would Caledon and surrounding municipalities benefit from those? I'll start with that.
Well, one of the local planning tools that we need is our ability to plan our own community and not having the province planning our community or someone else planning the community. Quite frankly, one of the tools I really dislike, and I think the community dislikes it, is a tool that the province has called ministerial zoning orders. Those ministerial zoning orders, in my opinion, are not the way that we need to plan Caledon. It certainly isn't what we need in terms of planning Caledon. So I would like to have the ability, along with our residents, to make sure that we plan Caledon the way Caledon needs to be.
So less of MZOs,
Actually, no MZOs. No MZOs. I think they're undemocratic, and I don't think they're the way to go.
Okay, Jennifer.
I think that we need to be more efficient in how we deliver our planning services. And I think that we have an opportunity to eliminate a level of government out of the planning process. And that means the region. The upper tiers no longer need to be telling the lower tier municipalities how to plan their communities. The lower tiers know their communities best. And as my opponent has said, Caledon needs to plan Caledon. And I think that by eliminating the region's role out of that planning ensures that Caledon's communities grow as we see fit and fits with our community. And that will also expedite the time frame to have that development and growth.
Thank you.
So you want to have the pick and choose approach as a regional government, like you don't want region to dictate you on the planning part, but you still want your services to be funded by them.
Well, and I think we're partners at the region because we certainly cannot move forward with development without the region at the table. We rely on them for our infrastructure, and you know that without the infrastructure, our water and wastewater, we're not going anywhere. So I think we do need to have them as a partner at the table, and we work in partnership in planning the
thank
community.
you. Enid, you talk about the infrastructure. Next question will be moved. The infrastructure is one of the major issue, and province is going ahead with the Highway 413, GTA Northwest Corridor. What are your stand on that? Because there were many protests. So where you stand on Highway 413?
Well, right now I can tell you we need to move $2 billion worth of goods and services through Peel Region daily. And we don't need to wait 15 to 20 years to do that. We need to do that today. And so my stance and my position is that the province of Ontario allows for the goods and services to get to market today. And by doing that is allowing our trucks to drive on the 407 free and also extend the 427 to Highway 89. We need to make sure that our goods get to market immediately, and that is how we need.
So you are not in favor of Highway 413 then?
I'm in favor of making sure that the infrastructure is in place. The Highway 413 certainly is going to take quite a bit of our farmland out. And as you know, agriculture brings in $50 billion annually in revenues to our economy.
Okay, fair enough. Jennifer, what's your stand on Highway 413?
So the 413, actually, when it's constructed, won't go through any farmland. All that land is being developed. That is where the additional population coming to Caledon and the additional employment lands are going to be located. And we need to have a safe route for trucks to pass. Peel Region is the largest transportation hub in North America, and $2.3 billion worth of goods move through Peel every day, but that's today. What about in 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now?
Yeah. So we are having diverse opinions on 413, which is great for democracy. But do you think 407 should be an immediate relief for truckers? Do you say yes to that?
Absolutely. Anything that we can do in the short term to move goods safely through Peel region and efficiently is important, because we lose a substantial amount of money in gridlock every day in Peel region.
Right. Same to
Well, absolutely. I brought a resolution, in fact, to council asking for the Premier to allow the trucks to use the 407 free of charge. That is an immediate solution. It's always been a position of mine that we need to get goods to market today. Right. We don't need to wait 15 years from now.
15 years, you don't want to wait for 15 years. So question is like, Canada is an immigrant country. Every year, immigrants, there are students, there are work permits for the congestion. What is your plan if you don't think Highway 413 is required, or you say farmland is there and that being used? So what else the option other than 407?
As I mentioned earlier, the extension of Highway 427. Ernie Eves, as you may recall, many years ago, did the environmental assessment on the 427, taking it to Essa Road. Now, that is actually an easy fix, because you can run it up the corridor, and it is a 3 to 5 year plan if the Premier chooses to do that.
So Jennifer, do you agree with Annette's statement?
Absolutely. I was actually in Ottawa in August of this year, sitting down with Minister Mulroney to discuss the need for the 427 extension to Highway 9. I think that it's important infrastructure, but I think that we have to look at the infrastructure and the ring roads around the GTA and how they're all connected, and not just for today, but for the future. We all know that infrastructure takes time to build, and we have to make those plans for today.
But what about the farmland, which she is mentioning?
That farmland is all going to be developed. That is where the population is going to 2051 within the town of Caledon and the region of Peel. And in fact, my opponent voted on that in the past 2 terms of council.
I certainly did not support sprawl.
You definitely supported. You supported the votes on.
It was a 23-1 vote at the region of Peel.
So did you support it that time? Did you support it?
To bring when we voted on.
She was the only councillor that did not support the official plan in the entirety of the region of Peel.
That's right.
But all the votes leading up to those discussions about density targets, how many people per hectare, greenfield development versus infield, she was part of those discussions and did vote along those lines.
Both of you have been in power for more than 8 years. You have been a veteran. You have been since 2014. Well, moving ahead, we have talked about transportation needs, commercial motor vehicle. What about regular transit? Caledon doesn't have enough transit of its own. We are seeing hundreds, thousands of new families trying to live in Canada and enjoy the nature. What are the solutions for those?
Sure, I can take that.
Yes.
We do have a local transit system that we're piloting in my community. I think that transit system, we need to expand it to meet the needs across Caledon. In speaking to some of the residents and the young people in, say, the Southfields area, Mayfield and Kennedy Road, they need transit. We need to be able to get those young people from working that are in Mayfield and Kennedy area into Bolton, that they can work at the jobs that are here in Bolton, and just moving people around throughout the community.
Yes.
So it's not just about expanding services or partnerships with the City of Brampton. It's also making sure that the routes that we're offering are the right routes. Do they come at the right time? Are they connecting with the other public transit infrastructure that we have throughout our regional governments? And I think that that's another step, is that we really should be looking at regional transportation. It should be something dealt with at the regional level of government. But also, again, I'm going to say that's the immediate solution. We also have to be planning for the long term. I'm proud to have been the councillor to secured the GO train location. The other 2 locations had been developed through the village of Bolton, and to have worked with the city of Vaughan to secure the Caledon-Vaughan GO line in the province's greater transportation master plan.
Thank you. Next question is, do you think that Caledon is getting a fair share from the region of Peel? Because Bramptonians always feel they are behind and they have not got a fair share. Every share goes to the Mississauga. What about Caledon? And it you first.
Well, Region of Peel has not been getting their fair share from the province of Ontario. And we have been saying that for many, many years, and we have been advocating for our fair share from the province of Ontario. The province needs to give Peel Region their fair share so that they can give each municipality their fair share.
A quick
And I think it's important, in order to have that good advocacy, we have to have the representation at the region to make sure that we have that fair share. And unfortunately, in this last term of council, we lost 2 of our representatives because my opponent chose to stay in her seat and allow a vote to take place. That cost us 2 seats and a bigger voice at the Region Appeal, advocating for the needs of Caledon and putting Caledon first.
And Ed, what do you want to say?
Yes, I would
please.
like to respond to that. And my opponent certainly isn't telling the truth, because if you check the records, my record shows that I voted no in losing our regional. Excuse me, I am talking.
I am sorry.
Yes.
I am talking, and I do have the proof here in my binder where Caledon asked the minister to step in. The minister said no. We're not stepping in. You figure it out. So me
that
leaving.
Doesn't give you
so
the right
if I'm
to stay
talking,
in your seat and
so
lose the seats.
if I am leaving
You did
the
not
region,
put Caledon
excuse me,
first.
I am
Yes.
talking.
Yes, please.
If I,
yeah.
thank you. If I got up and I left there, I've walked out on council meetings before, and what did we achieve? Nothing. Because it comes
That's
back
not
to the
true. In
table.
2015,
It
we
comes
kept our
back
plan.
to the
we'll
table.
give you time, yeah.
And it is dealt with at the next council meeting. So do we continue to walk out? When the minister sends us a letter 2 days or 3 days before, 2 or 3 days before the vote, saying, we're not getting involved. You need to figure it
Okay,
out.
thank you, Jennifer.
In order for a vote to take place at the Region Appeal, 2 things have to happen. You have to have 50% plus 1 for the vote to carry, and you must have 1 representative from every municipality at the table in order for that vote to take place. My colleague chose to stay in her seat and allow that vote to take place. Even Councillor Santos said to her immediately following, thank you for staying in your seat so that Brampton could have more representation. At the end of the day, in 2015, we did the same thing. We walked out so that we didn't lose our planning authority at the Region of Peel, and we were successful because it gave us a time
Jennifer,
to
thank you very
negotiate.
much.
Both of the candidates, they are very passionate about the future of Caledon. We want to know, 20 years from now, 10 years from now, do you see Caledon still being part of Region of Peel? Because, Caledon has different priorities. You are not happy with the regional funding formula. Where is the future of Caledon?
Well, that's a great question, and if I had a crystal ball, I'd be able to answer that
But you are
question.
the decision maker.
How-
Your votes matter.
And you're running to become that leader.
It does matter, and at the end of the day, the province of Ontario needs to make that decision. I think that that's been dealt with at the region a couple of times since I've been there, and it hasn't happened. So we need to get some answers from the Premier. I know that at the last term, he did do some work on looking at other regions and whether those regions should stay together or whether those regions should be separate. And I hope that at this point in time, we'll get some answers from him, because we really never did get an answer from him.
So you're waiting for answers from the
Premier.
Okay.
From the Premier.
Jennifer.
I see the benefit of having the Region of Peel, and I will continue to advocate on behalf of my residents to ensure that we remain as part of the Region of Peel. We're very interconnected when it comes to social services, but as well as our hard services and our infrastructure. If we were to break apart, we would have to create utilities to cover those services, and that's not efficient for our tax base. And so I think that we really do have to fight hard to remain as part of the Region of Peel. It is one of the best run governments in this nation.
Thank you.
But your biggest partner, Mississauga, wants to separate, so who will balance?
Well, I can tell you that in my tenure at the Region of Peel, when that conversation came up, the council of the day at that time, we decided that we wanted to remain as part of the Region of Peel. I don't know that that conversation is going to continue. I think Mississauga is at the point where they've now decided that we're not going anywhere. We're staying together.
Thank you. So moving to next. So in this segment, we will ask all of you, both of you, to ask one question to each candidate. But before that, the question is illegal truck yard parking. So in it, now moving to next question, illegal truck yard parking. So there are so many illegal truck parking in the Caledon, and we have seen that litigations are on in the courts. There is no proper solution so far. And Ellen Thompson, the present mayor, he worked so hard onto this. Do you have any plan to resolve that issue? If yes, what is that? Or where you stand on this illegal parkings?
Well, I can tell you that I have quite a few of them in my own community. Those truck parkings, they belong in certain areas. They don't belong in some of the areas that they're located in. And you're absolutely right. We had a task force that we spent over $600,000 to create. And have I seen resolution? No, there are a lot of those truck parkings that are still there. So do I have a solution? I say we all need to get and we need to sit at the table, all of us. We need to sit with our our partners, we need to sit with our bylaw people, and we need to figure this out. Because going to court and fining them, they're still there. You're paying a fine and you're still there.
Jennifer.
So I think that it's a multi-pronged solution. First and foremost, Councillor DeBoer and I were the councillors that brought forward the recommendation to have an illegal trucking task force. You have to send a message that this is not something that we want to have in our community. These roads are not constructed for trucks, and it's not safe. And then the solution part is we all do our part as councillors to making sure that we go and speak with realtor groups to make sure that those people that are coming to buy lands in Caledon, they know what they can and cannot do, but also to form partnerships and create a co-op so that there's an opportunity to have safe, affordable parking for our independent truck drivers and partner with our logistics industry that's already existing and built on roads that are meant for truck traffic, like the Amazon warehousing, to find overnight parking for our independent truckers in our community.
Well, this trucking, illegal trucking yards, it's a big problem. It's not only Caledon's problem, it's entire GTA.
Yes.
There is a huge shortage of truck parking areas. Coming from trucking industry myself, we see it every day in and out. But why is town or cities like Brampton and town of Caledon, why are their bylaws staff silent? Because these trucking yards don't open overnight. Why somebody did something loophole, because that is what these companies
Before that, adding to this too, you both were into the council.
Yeah.
At first stand, why city of Caledon, they allowed it to happen?
So
Because
the
there are
city
so
of
many-
Caledon has never allowed it to happen.
The town,
Absolutely not.
The town did not allow it.
We've been very firm in saying this is not okay. We have filling in of wetlands and cutting down of woodlots. This is not okay, and the town has been very clear. The unfortunate part is we enact all of our abilities under the Municipal Act for enforcement, but they're too weak, and we need the province to step in and give us greater enforcement tools. As the chair of the Conservation Authority for the past 2 years, we've been going over the Conservation Act, and we've been asking for those same authorities to protect those conservation lands as well.
Thank you.
Is creating more truck parking will be a priority for you? Legal, not illegal, the legal for both
Yes.
of you or any one of you?
Absolutely.
And there is an opportunity to do that in certain locations. I don't think that in some of the areas where they are located, it's too close to residential, but we certainly have an area in the Tullamore area that we need to really look at those areas and see how we can help these truckers with making sure that they have parking, that they're legal and they're in conformity.
So, Enid, what is your plan to make these illegal truck park? Will you remove them, or will you fine them, or will you make them legal parking? What is the
Sometimes
plan?
they use the grandfathering clause. They
Yes.
said, okay, now we have made it.
None of
nobody
them
will
can be
Yeah,
grandfathered. In order
we-
to be grandfathered in the town of Caledon, you have to have been in existence prior to 1974.
Okay.
None of them were there prior to 1994. We have the aerial photos
I will
to
tell
prove
you
it.
that during my tenure, there have been two that they were grandfathered in.
Through the court system, not the town
they
of
went to
Caledon.
court with the town of Caledon, so we need to be very vigilant. We need to make sure we have a good argument, because I can tell you that there's one over here on Mayfield Road that they were grandfathered in through the courts.
Yeah, people use those loopholes, for a
Yes.
reason. So over to the free, session here. We give opportunity to both of you to raise any one pertinent question which you might have. This is an open.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't
Yes.
have any questions.
You don't have any question for Jennifer?
No.
Okay. So, Jennifer, you have any question for the...
Well, in the spirit of that, I think maybe in the spirit of this, let's have a conversation about teamwork and the ability to lead a team, because the mayor is only one vote.
Yeah.
You have to be able to work with an entire team. And I know that I'm proud of my record and my ability to work with my colleagues, not only at the town of Caledon, but the Region of Peel and the Toronto Region Conservation Authority, which spans from municipalities all across the GTA, to make sure that we can get things done. So I guess my question to my colleague is, in the spirit of teamwork, how do you plan to lead a team when you've had a difficult time in the time that I've been on council working with your colleagues at the town of Caledon?
Well, I work with a team who works with the community. If the team isn't working with the community, I certainly have an issue working with that team. I can tell you, when you look at my track record at the Region of Peel, we've got some great councillors there, and we work together as a team. So as long as a team is working in the best interest of the community, I am happy to work with that team.
That's fair enough. So moving ahead, it's when you both signed up to become the new mayor of Caledon, it's very difficult decision, because you both had cushion jobs, plum positions. You both were regional councillors. So what was the trigger factor? Was it Alan Thompson retiring that okay, there is an opportunity, or was there something different you want to bring to the table?
And also, who is Alan Thompson? Is he endorsing any one of you?
Alan has endorsed me.
Okay.
He's put his sign on his lawn, and very happy to have his endorsement. And I think the trigger point was really having those conversations with Alan about the future of the town of Caledon. The next 4 years are going to be very, very important for our community as we plan for the next 25 years. And we need somebody who has leadership, experience, and the ability to have partnerships to really build a brighter and better Caledon.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to say that many of my residents have endorsed me, and for that reason I decided to step up, because they have asked me to run because they feel that I have the experience, the skill sets, the knowledge to take on this challenge moving forward.
So do you believe that endorsement matters?
The endorsement from the public matters. That is what matters.
Endorsement matters?
I think the endorsement from the public matters. I think from existing politicians who and public servants who have great respect from our community. I'm proud to have them from former Premier Ernie Eves and many of our MPs and MPPs previously, as well as all the past mayors over the last few years, including Emil Kolb, the longest serving chair of the Region of Peel. And I think that those important endorsements are a necessity for the public, because those are the people that they have put their trust in for many years.
And I would just add
Yes.
as well that I was endorsed by the Ontario Nurses Association. So when, politicians endorse you, it's one thing. When the public endorses you, that's a whole different story. And so I am very proud to have the endorsement of the Ontario Nurses Association.
So next question goes that in Caledon, we have seen the infrastructure, we have seen still there are propane gas, still there are septic tanks. If your answer is that's a rural area, in the world, every rural area has a demand, has a capacity to be urbanized, to get these major facilities of a gas, of a septic, or the broadband. Why Caledon rural area is missing these necessities? Annette, first you.
Well, I think that some people are good with living in the countryside, and they're okay with being on propane and having their wells and their septic tanks. I think people choose and have chosen to live there for that reason. They enjoy that quiet, they enjoy that rural lifestyle and quality of life. And there are those of us who live in the urban areas, and we do have those services. We're on gas, we're on septic, or we're on
But do you agree that propane is more costly than the gas?
Propane certainly is more costly than gas, and I guess in time we can look at how we can move gas into those areas. There are some areas that we can, but that's certainly up to Enbridge for us to work with our Enbridge partners to see.
Our team, they surveyed in the rural Caledon, and they see we need these services. We need the internet. We need the high-speed internet.
Definitely we need the internet, and that's something that I know the former mayor, or Mayor Thompson, has been working on. That's something that we do need to work on, because it is very expensive and very costly to our residents in the rural areas.
Yes.
So the province has committed to connecting all of the GTA, which Caledon is part of, to 2025. But to your point with regards to propane and septics, it's extremely costly. It's difficult for our farms to operate with all these costs. All of everything that they do in their everyday life is increasing, and we have to create better partnerships with these private sectors to help bring in the services that our residents and our businesses and our farm community desperately needs.
Okay. Peel region is a multicultural hub. We have seen lots of influx of new Canadians and new immigrants coming to Caledon and starting a new way of life. What are the opportunities for those families? There is less of transit. There is not enough. We are already in a health crisis in region of Peel. There is no full hospital in Caledon. What can those families do to be inspired, to be integrated well in Caledon?
So I think that when people come to Caledon, they do so because they know their neighbors. They feel connected and a sense of community pride, and they're connected to the green space. And I think that having everyone come together and having opportunities through community hubs and programming is an opportunity for the community to connect and to build that community pride. And as we build new communities within the town of Caledon, we need to make sure that Caledon character continues to thrive in those new communities.
And does Caledon need a hospital?
Absolutely, we need an urgent care facility within the town of Caledon.
Well, and that's one of the things I'm most proud of. Like I said, my opponent, she voted against accepting a 20-acre land donation for an
Only at
urgent,
the town of
for
Caledon.
an urgent.
Yeah.
You certainly voted against it at the Region Appeal, and I do have the recorded vote. And I will tell you that I am very proud. It only took 10 years for that farmer to actually, for somebody to accept that very generous gift. And I can tell you that I am extremely grateful of our partners from Brampton and Mississauga that they chose to accept that land donation.
And I think we have
I
to
will
be- we
continue
have
to
to-
advocate for the funding to build the urgent care center. Actually, coming from that business, and I was on the foundation board to build the new Humber River Hospital, I certainly understand, and I owned and operated my own healthcare facility. So certainly I
Omissions of
understand the
fact
need.
is also very deceitful, and I think that we have to remember when this land donation originally came to the town of Caledon, it was in exchange for his lands to be serviced. That meant the rest of his farm was more suitable for development. When it came to the region of Peel, because the town said we're not using taxpayers' money to service your lands, it went to the region of Peel. There was still more asked of the region of Peel. Negotiations took place, and I'm proud to say that unanimously, including myself and all members of Peel Council, accepted that land donation.
And I can tell you for a fact that my opponent did not support that. My opponent,
That is not
Councillor
true. The
Downey
final
and
vote,
Councillor
that is
Early
not-
did not support it, and
Councillor
we can check
Groves,
the we can
you
check
can
the
check the
recorded
voting record.
vote
It was
that you did not-
unanimously
it was
accepted.
Not. Councillor Sinclair and myself were the only two councillors from
It was
Caledon
unanimously
who support,
accepted
it
from the
certainly was
region
not.
of Peel.
It certainly was
so,
not.
So to clear the air, how could Caledon residents of Caledon's voters of Caledon find the truth? What is
Ask
Yes.
the
You
Region
can
Appeal.
watch. You can look at the videos online. All council meetings are recorded at the town of Caledon and the region of Peel.
And I
Okay.
actually have the recorded vote right here.
Okay, that's what we have been requesting all our viewers, that please make an informed decision. It is election time. You will hear a lot of promises, lot of deceitful campaigns, but make an informed decision. We don't want you to just listen us, but make an informed decision.
And for
Thank
the
you. Yeah.
record, I would like to clear that comment up about the donor. He never asked for anything from the region. In fact, the region appeal staff recommended that his land gets developed. So our mayor, Mayor
He
Thompson,
asked for
was
those
quoted,
lands to be serviced by the town of
Okay.
Caledon.
Yes,
excuse
yeah.
me. Mayor Thompson wrote an article and said it was a quid pro quo. It certainly was not true. That farmer decided to donate the land because the town at the time, when Bob Ray wanted to turn his land into a landfill site, stood with him.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Jennifer, now you can say.
When they first came to the town of Caledon, it was an exchange for their lands to be serviced at the cost of the taxpayers of the town of Caledon. Caledon does not service lands. That is a responsibility of the region of Peel, and it was asked to be forward. Years later, it was discussed at the region of Peel, and at the end of the day, it was unanimously accepted by all members of council.
Okay.
Okay.
It was not.
Not
Yes.
just on that
Was
thing.
not.
What are the next steps? When can we see a building built over there?
So
and-
The
I-
next
so-
steps is
so
to begin
I-
One by one,
conversations.
Okay,
yes.
so I will take that
Yes,
because
please.
since
Yeah,
I was
okay.
the one who brought
Okay,
it to
okay,
the
please go
Region
ahead. Yeah.
Appeal, I was the one who chose to bring that to the Region Appeal. I met with Mr. Wilson, who was the donor, and our staff, and had those conversations. I also met with the Scott McDonald from the chair of the
So when
Linz,
is
from the
the
Central
service?
Westland.
The Linz
The services
Linz-
are.
Linz no
excuse
longer
me,
exists.
Yeah. So after that, you'll get a
I said
chance.
I met in the
Yeah.
past with them. If you would
Right.
listen.
So Linz don't
If
exist.
you would
and
listen
the Linz
and have
all
some
said
respect,
the next
Miss
hospital
Innes.
will be on the west side of Caledon.
I can tell you that my next step will be advocating for our funding through, and whether it's through private funding or through the province.
So we don't
Okay,
have
we
a
got
secure
it.
funding as
Yes.
of date.
There is
Yes.
no funding
None.
and no
Okay.
plans for an urgent care center at
Yes.
this time.
But
Okay.
that's entirely up to us to advocate
Okay,
for it.
last question, Annette, to you, that if you become a mayor of Caledon, what will be your major two priorities? Just two, top two priorities.
of both
Yeah,
of you.
both of you.
Top two priorities is to make sure that our residents are serviced properly and that they have what they need to enjoy the quality of life there, to manage the growth that we're going to be experiencing, and to make sure growth is paying for growth and the services are delivered not at the cost of the residents.
Thank you. Jennifer, your major two priorities.
That was more than two priorities, but I'll give
Yes,
you two.
yeah, top two.
Building a strong employment base will be one priority to ensure that we are financially viable into the future. My second priority will be protecting Caledon's identity as we grow.
Okay. we are almost at the end of this discussion, so this is the time for both of the candidates to address the voters and tell how they can support you, vote you, and tell your campaign addresses and whatever. So I'll start with Jennifer.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity today. And I want to remind the residents to please vote early because October 24th is Diwali. My plan and vision for Caledon is not to just make promises to get elected in the next 4 years. It's to plan for a future, plan 25 years out, modernize our services at the town of Caledon so that we are more cost effective and efficient, build a strong employment base so people can live where they work, with an industry built around the food sector. That's agricultural sciences, vertical greenhouses, processing, flash freezing facilities, making sure that we have safe infrastructure and routes for our trucking industry as well as our residents, and protecting our Caledon identity. Caledon is a place where people come because they know their neighbors, they're proud, and we want to continue to have that for generations to come.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Final word with
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity as well to speak to you and to speak to your audiences. And I can tell you that if you want a mayor who is going to make sure that they continue to oppose tax hikes during those challenging times for people, then I ask you to vote for me. If you want a mayor who is going to make sure that they respect the taxpayers, not give themselves a 24% salary increase, then you vote for Annette Groves. If you want a mayor who is going to advocate and continue to advocate for healthcare and senior services, then I ask that you vote for me. If you want a mayor who is going to oppose any additional aggregate pits and quarries, then I ask that you vote for Annette Groves. And if you want a mayor who's going to make sure growth pays for growth and not on the taxpayer's dime, then you vote for Annette Groves, and also helping our workers and our paramedics and first responders.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So ਆ ਸੀਗੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਖਾਸ ਪੇਸ਼ਕਸ਼ Caledon, your Caledon, which is going to decide the new mayor and the new council on October 24th. ਦੀਵਾਲੀ ਬੰਦੀ ਛੋੜ ਵਾਲਾ ਦਿਵਸ ਵਾਲਾ ਦਿਨ ਦਾ ਤਿਉਹਾਰ ਹੈ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਐਡਵਾਂਸ VOTING ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਪਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਅਕਤੂਬਰ 8, 14, 15, 21 ਔਰ 24 ਤਰੀਕ ਨੂੰ ਐਡਵਾਂਸ VOTING ਪਾਓ, ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੇਸੀ ਨੂੰ ਮਜ਼ਬੂਤ ਕਰੋ। Over to you.
Thank you. And we wish you all the best, both of you, all the best from our team. And when you become a mayor, we'll invite you to address the more issues of Caledon. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
ਸੋ ਆ ਸੀਗੇ ਮੇਅਰ ਦੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਕੈਲੇਡਨ ਤੋਂ। ਸੋ ਵਨ ਆਫ them ਵਿਲ ਬੀ ਅ ਮੇਅਰ ਆਫ ਕੈਲੇਡਨ। ਜਿਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਚੁਣੇ ਗਏ ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਵਾਲ ਪੁੱਛਾਂਗੇ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਹਰ ਸਵਾਲ ਇਸ ਸ਼ੋਅ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਿੱਤਾ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ। ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਦਾ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਹੈ, ਮੇਲ ਥੈਫਟ ਦਾ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਹੈ, ਮੁੱਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੈ ਕੈਲੇਡਨ 'ਚ, ਔਰ ਇਲੀਗਲ ਟਰੱਕ ਪਾਰਕਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਹੈ। ਸਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਆਫਟਰ ਦ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ। ਸੋ ਉਮੀਦ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅੱਛਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਹੋਏਗਾ। ਫਿਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਗੈਸਟ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਰੂਬਰੂ ਜਲਦ ਹੋਵਾਂਗੇ। ਦੇਖਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਏਸ਼ੀਆ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਆਪਣਾ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ।